Hello and welcome to another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, the Professor, Russ Stevens, and Uncle Joe McLaughlin. JP's first son, Tim Hoey, will be here very shortly. Well, boys, we have another great show for you tonight, so let's get it started. We start with the Boston Celtics. First of all, breaking news from the Grandstanders Live desk. Fatty, Pablo Sandoval of the basketball world, James Harden was just traded in a 3-team deal.
4-team deal.
4 teams.
Yeah.
Harden goes to one of obviously our competitors in the East, goes to the Nets. Lots of other players and draft picks go all the ways. What do you guys think of the deal?
I think Houston got a massive haul for him.
Yeah, it looks like it, right?
4 first-round draft picks. Victor Oladipo, who's an All-NBA, third team, second team All-NBA talent, plus 4 pick swaps. And for a guy who didn't want to play there anymore, who was just, opted out, it's a pretty good deal for them.
Yeah. Joe, James Harden looks like he ate Pablo Sandoval.
I don't think it's all that great a deal in the short term for the Nets either. It looks like we want to win now, but you say Dinwiddie's gone for the year right now, who was the third best player. Now they got rid of Jared Allen and Karis LeVert, who I thought were great players.
Yeah.
Geez, that doesn't leave them much wiggle room. They're going to be doing D-League guys coming off the bench in their rotation.
Timmy, we always talk about these big multiplayer deals. The best player in the deal, that team wins it. It doesn't feel like it that way this time.
Well, I loved seeing the guys New Jersey had to get rid of because those were some good players.
Yeah,
they were.
Those guys, they were scaring me when we played them. They were pretty dominant.
Now,
Alan gave us a lot of.
They were the tallest guys.
This will be one of those. This is going to be a chemistry thing. This is going to be like a little circus to watch for the rest of the year. How this whole thing, the Kyrie show, the James Harden show, I am really going to be interested to watch how this evolves.
Yeah, Rusty, NBA's having obviously some difficulties now with COVID and stuff, but didn't feel like that they were reading the papers too much in Brooklyn. James Harden shot himself literally out the door yesterday, said he had to leave. Cousins comes out today and says, we don't need him. Why do you give such a big return when you have a guy who has to be traded?
well, you're sitting there and his value decreases by the day, and you just need to take the best deal at the time. He was not gonna play for them for the full year, and he certainly wasn't going to play for them at 100% of effort. So, I think they got the best deal that they could, and they leveraged Philadelphia. I feel like
Brooklyn overpaid for him big time.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of in terms of
they may have had to take coming from the Nets point of view. I don't know, or maybe they do know if Kyrie's even going to come back this year. Yeah,
all you needed was
they got to replace that.
All you needed was 2 teams fighting against each other. Now, Brooklyn, if Philly wasn't in there fighting to get this too, that was the greatest thing that could have happened for Houston was there were 2 teams, not just 1 team. Philly really wanted them too, and I'd rather him go to Brooklyn than to Philly. I think he would have helped Philly more than he's going to help Brooklyn.
Well, at the very least, it's a very interesting soap opera, and I can't wait to watch all 3 of those.
They are going to have if Kyrie does come back and wants to play, and Harden gets himself into shape, they are going to have an unbelievable offensive basketball team.
Yeah,
like that is an unbelievable. For today's modern NBA, all 3 guys can handle it. All 3 guys can play make. All 3 guys can shoot it. It is going to be really hard to defend that team.
Yeah, when we played the Nets, it just seemed Irving and Durant at their highest level was too much for us.
And you're adding a top 15 offensive player maybe ever to that team.
Yeah,
that's what you're doing.
Yeah. I know, but there's only one basketball, so
That's exactly right.
very
He'll have to
interesting.
be a spot-up shooter. He'll be Jaylen Brown standing in the corner, waiting for the ball from Kyrie. He might be still waiting there.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. That's going to be fun to watch. All right, we go to the NBA and the
Wait,
Boston.
we're not going to talk about Kyrie's MIA status.
No, we've got to move on with some
That
Boston.
may
You know,
have
we got
precipitated the trade.
to talk about the Celtics. Look, the reason we enjoy watching sports is to watch sports, and when you have these games postponed, it's just it's a day wrecker. What should the NBA do? It feels like they should just take 2 weeks off, get everybody handling with the new protocols in place, and then start the season again.
Why punish all the other teams in the league because a few broke protocols and
There is so much money involved here that they're just going to try to keep this show rolling as long as to digress a little bit, Gary Bettman from the NHL said the NHL is going to lose millions of dollars this year.
Yeah, well, I don't care about them.
What I'm talking about is they have to keep this show rolling. There's so much money involved with the TV. They have to keep this thing rolling.
They do, but at the very, look, they can't have games where there are only 8 guys addressing on each team. Then that's not even a G League.
Well, as long as you can turn the station on and there's a game on, they're getting their money.
As long as they give it programming content,
they don't care. They don't care who they put out there, Scotty. As long as the game's on, we're going to watch it.
They're going to have a situation where all of a sudden they're not going to be able to foul out players.
Maybe, but
as long as change the rule, right?
Turn that TV on at 7:30 and they're tipping off. They're getting their money.
All right, so. Would you have traded would you have tried to acquire James Harden and given up Marcus Smart?
Sure. Yeah, but
now
they
that
were
we
never
know that
gonna...
Harden has been traded, would you have given up Marcus Smart?
Yeah,
and a lot of picks. And
it looks like they wanted a lot more.
Yeah, but they got way more than we. They got way more. Look, Philadelphia, by all accounts, was willing to give up Simmons. Brooklyn was willing to give up LeVert, Allen, and every pick they have potentially for the next 8 years, at least in a swap for half of them. So what was it? They were never going to take Marcus Smart plus picks for that. They just, it was going to be Jaylen Brown. It would have had to been Jaylen Brown for the Celtics, and the Celtics are not going to do that.
I mean, this guy's a force du jour. I mean, he's just a scorer. I mean. He's a difference maker.
I have to think, with so many picks of what OKC has, like 100,000 first-round picks. Have they devalued first-round picks now when these guys just form these star teams now? It feels like
Scotty. My view, the value is if a guy like the Greek Freak ends up getting a guy. There are new stars, new kids coming up out of college. There's always going to be some tremendous players. Every few years, there's a transcendent talent, and if you have the more draft picks you have, the better chance you having of acquiring somebody like that. That's my view.
But look, who we still talking about in the league right now? LeBron James in the 30+, Steph Curry, Durant, Irving.
No. Hang on, though, Scotty. We're also talking about Jason Tatum, Joel Embiid, Jaylen Brown, Trae Young, Luka Doncic. Look, you need high picks to take those players. I mean, it's not a surprise that the Celtics, the most successful the Celtics have been drafting players have been Brown, Tatum, and Smart, who are all Smart with his top 6 pick.
Right, but that's what it looks like. It looks like the only values in the top 10 right now.
Yeah, but we say that, but then we take a look at Peyton Pritchard, and we're sitting here saying Peyton Pritchard could be the Celtics point guard of the future, and he was a 26th pick.
Where did Giannis get picked? Giannis was like 12th or something?
Well, that's a great segue, Russ. Thank you very much, because I'm talking about Peyton Pritchard. He is so fun to watch when we get to watch him. Who would you compare him to as far as players currently in the NBA or former Celtics?
Yeah, I think his floor is someone like Jalen Brunson, who's like a really good backup guard for Dallas. very mature, and I think his ceiling is probably Fred VanVleet.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm losing the name here. We drafted a kid maybe 10 years ago. We got him very high, and then we immediately traded him.
Sebastian Telfair.
Chauncey Phillips.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Chauncey Phillips. That's who he reminds me of.
Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah, Chauncey Phillips said. I guess
He was a wide load though.
When Chauncey Phillips,
He's a big guy.
But that same level of play, right around there.
Yeah, that effing Patino sold him quickly, and that was.
Oh, he couldn't. He saw him for like 2 games and shipped him out of town.
Phillips made. I don't know. Russ, is Phillips the Hall of Famer?
Yes, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Phillips is the Hall of Famer. Yeah, that's a nice, great deal there. And then don't get me started. All right, Shemi, you know how much I hate him. he's Daniel Nava for me. I think still
A lot of hate
player in the NBA.
A lot of hate on Mason Terrace. A lot of hate over there.
He's played well.
He's played well. I was hoping you were going to say that. I mean, if you're going to be,
we get that on tape. Did you just say Semi's playing well?
He is. Well, of course. I mean, I'm not going to.
Okay, I root for him. I thought my ears were mishearing here.
I was hoping he'd be part of a Harden deal. The main part. We could have Shemi here. And does he have any value to the team as a player or trade value?
Possibly. If you try to trade Shemi, you get a 2nd-round pick for him. That's what you get.
Okay. All right. Because a couple of guys are going to have to go when they acquire.
Right.
Well, they used to have trade exception at the trade deadline, but they got to figure out what they got for a team. They got to see what Kemba looks like. They got to see a lot of things. Well, when they do, they can make a move.
Well, Shemi has definitely allowed Brad Stevens, as Uncle Joe says, to steal minutes on that.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Absolutely.
On both ends of the court, too.
He really has played well. He's been a help for them to have the best record in basketball right now, boys. I know it's only 10 games, but
let me tell you something, Scott. These postponements are a huge break for the Celtics. A huge break. There are other teams. These other teams are having to play through with 8-9 guys. Philadelphia took a beating the other night with their first game without those guys. I'd rather have the Celtics be jammed up in the schedule later in the year with a full team than going out with that squad that they were going to have to go out with the other night. That was a disaster. That was an automatic loss.
I know.
My son's Milton High School hockey team had to play their first game with only 5 real varsity players on the team. The rest of the team was all freshmen and JV. I mean, it's hard going out there understaffed. It really is.
Yeah, it's when a lot of these guys get injured too, especially the young players.
Exactly.
They can't. It's not sustainable for that long.
But I don't want them jamming up like having to play 10 games in 2 weeks right before the playoffs either.
Oh, yeah, they'll sprinkle them in. I mean, if they have to make up three games, that's fine. They'll figure that out.
All right, boys. We go to the Patriots, and Bill Belichick. He's never been called stupid. He's been called a lot of things, but he ain't stupid. And him turning down the Presidential Medal of Freedom was a guy who understands. He read the room, understood what he needed to do, and I was quite proud of him.
That was a no-brainer, really. I mean, I would have questioned his sanity if he had gone and taken.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping Joe Biden gives Bill a call in a month or so and get it.
Well, look, by the way, is the Medal of Freedom winner.
Yeah,
Bill is smart to say. Only Bill says we're not moving forward right now with this.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is this is a little bit of a pattern of recent behavior with Bill where, I thought he handled the team very well with respect to prioritizing their health during COVID. He sort of gave the rubber stamp to them, potentially threatening to not play or boycott a game. And I think what he said the other day about what he learned from the McCourties and from Slater about, within the Black Lives Matter aspect of it, I think that Bill has actually evolved a bit over the last 18 months. And had he taken this honor, he would have reversed all the progress that at least that we perceived he's made.
Yep. Do you think Bob Kraft made a call to Belichick?
No, I think Belichick's a big boy.
Yeah.
He can
Yeah.
make his own decisions.
I think Kraft was overstepping his boundaries doing that. I think this is a decision that Belichick personally had to make himself.
Well, I'm glad he did it. All right, Gerard Mayo, this breaking news from the Grandstanders live
Amazing,
cast,
yeah.
is interviewing for the head coaching job, I think, of the Eagles. Is that right?
Yep.
I've always
Yeah.
had a lot of respect for Mayo. I think
That feels. We talked about this last year. People will know that we said that Gerard Mayo will probably be a guy that ends up getting interviewed a lot quicker than a lot of guys. He's got a good reputation around the league. I would not be shocked if Mayo was
Yeah, look at Vrabel's had some success. I could see Mayo going and doing what Vrabel's done somewhere.
Yeah, Joe Judge, who got himself hired from the special teams for the Patriots down in New York. Look, if Mayo gets that job and makes 2 or 3 good hires, maybe he brings in Romeo Crennel to run the defense or whatever that is. He could do a good job.
Brian Flores, obviously, they're very happy with him in Miami.
And he's competing with who? Brian Dable, another old Patriot coach.
Flores is doing a tremendous job. I'm afraid of Miami the next 4 or 5 years. I'm telling you that.
All right, so we talked about this last week about drafting. If you could pick one, size or speed, what would you pick first in the Patriots draft?
After watching that Alabama game, speed wins.
Speed. You can't ever get faster. You can get a little bit bigger. You can get heavier.
Yeah.
Speed kills, man. Like, that's just crazy.
But
Ohio State was a tremendous team. Alabama was just so much faster. I mean, and the speed just dominates out there.
But boys, I don't want anything of Devontae Smith. Stay away from him. This guy is 175 pounds. You can see how fragile he is. He is not going to translate into the NFL game.
Have you ever seen the whole planet knew that that Alabama was going to be passing to him, and it seemed like every single play went to him the first half of the game. I couldn't believe what I was watching.
But he's so good.
He would have had 300 yards.
And then he broke his arm, right? He broke his arm during the game. I mean, he looks like a broken arm going somewhere to happen.
Did he break a finger or break an arm?
I don't know, a hand or something. He looks like Romeo Langford.
Well, he's out there playing with some big boys, and he was dominating.
Yeah, well, all right. I just want to mention that.
The NFL are even bigger and faster.
All I hear is that Bill Belichick has a man crush on Hunter Henry. I'm willing to overpay for a quality tight end. You see Hunter Henry coming to the Patriots?
Yeah, I think the obvious thing to do here is, look, we joke with you about Jimmy Garoppolo. If you can get Garoppolo back for a second round pick or a second and a fourth or a second and a third or something like that, I think that's a no-brainer. You get it. I think you need to sign a tight end who has played in the National Football League before, and then you go draft a receiver with your first pick.
Casario is going to take Jimmy G right away from you. If he's got to trade Deshaun Watson,
he's not trading Deshaun. He's not trading Deshaun Watson. That would be insane.
If he has to.
Joe,
if he has to,
then he's coming to the Patriots. That's the first call to make. I would give for Deshaun Watson. I would give the next 3 first-round picks.
I'd give the next 6.
No, I'm getting plus second-round pick. Would you? Yeah, I would give 6 total picks between first and second. Would you? All right, so you would do that, Joe?
Oh, for a franchise quarterback, it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yes. 6.
Yes, but yes, I just don't think they're trading him. I don't think your first move as a GM would be to trade your young franchise quarterback.
6 first-round picks.
No, I would give 3 first-round and 3 second-round picks.
I'll throw in another first-round too. I'll take 4 first-rounders. I'll up the ante.
Absolutely, Deshaun Watson. I just think he's Russell Wilson to me. He's just he's ultimately develops into that player. Yeah, give up the farm. I don't need anything else but that guy. And you can go into the.
Well, he might need somebody to throw to. He might need somebody to block for him.
Well, that's what you got all that extra salary cap money for, to buy those guys.
Yeah, look, that would be ideal. Are the Patriots going to end up making a big splash move like that, drafting a quarterback, or signing a guy like a Stafford?
Both.
Both. I totally agree with Joe. I think outside, look, you could, if you got a younger if you got Sam Darnold, I don't think you draft a quarterback. But I think you get any quarterback who's 28, 29, anybody like Jimmy Garoppolo or older, you better be drafting quarterbacks too.
Right. Yeah. And the guy from Alabama, they had a lot of rumors, had mock drafts, had him going to the I don't see it.
Maybe in the later round. Not in the
I'll tell you that the kid from Ohio State didn't have his best game, but
I was going to
LSU.
Timmy, I was going to ask you, if Fields fell to the Patriots, would you want them to draft him?
After seeing, I think he was a little banged up against Alabama. He looked like a god against Clemson. He outplayed my boy there when they played Clemson. So I would grab him in a heartbeat.
Yeah, there's talk. I forget the guy who was pretty well respected in pro football, said that he thought he might slide to the Patriots at 15. But if you would think that if the Patriots, after the 8th pick in the draft, saw him still available, they might trade up if they really like him.
I think he could be a solid NFL quarterback.
All right, boys, we go to the Red Sox.
We get to keep our 5 first-round draft picks too.
No, we're only giving them 3. All right, we go to the Red Sox. Andrew Benintendi, please trade Andrew Benintendi. Please trade him for a bucket of balls. I can't watch him play for the Red Sox anymore.
Now, I was listening to some interesting analysis on Andrew Benintendi today, and they were saying that the way the game is just, they say the way they want him to play the game now is destroying his game. He's a spray hitter, and they're trying to turn him into a home run hitter. And it's totally messing up everything that he does. I don't know how much truth is in that. I wanted to hear what you guys had to say about that.
Well, $150 is $150, and that's what he pretty much batted last year. And
he looks worse in the field. His arm looks worse. His glove looks worse. It looks like he's regressing.
And he's not in shape. The guy didn't get in shape for baseball, and how's that possible?
Didn't you see him jogging in California?
Yeah, we used to see him. Yes,
he got heavy.
He was jogging. He was walking.
I said a couple of weeks ago, I never like it when these guys come into camp and say, yeah, he's gained some weight so he could keep the weight on. He just got heavy. I think he lost his athleticism. I thought of him, I used to think of him as being a sort of higher end athlete. And now I just look at the guy and he looks like late career Mike Greenwell to me.
Yeah. He's not developing. He's definitely regressing. If they can get any kind of young Class A pitcher with some potential.
Oh, I think they're going to get more for him than that. If they trade him, I think they're going to get a rotation pitcher. I really do.
Really? That would be nice.
A 4th or 5th starter, or a real good.
I think they're going to get a 4th or 5th starter for him.
We could replace him with the guy from AA, and the numbers would look pretty similar.
Sure would.
Well, it's January 13th, boys, and Chaim Bloom has done nothing, absolutely zero to improve this team. Manfred actually said yesterday that he thinks that they're going to try to get in a full schedule. He's delusional. And Chaim Bloom, what is he here for? To tell us he almost got guys? Is that what Chaim Bloom does, to show up every day and goes, darn it?
I'm surprised John Henry hasn't prodded him to make a splash of some sort.
Yeah, look, I don't know why Brad Hand is not on the Red Sox right now. They could have got him for 1 year and $10 million as opposed to signing Matt Barnes for $4.5.
They don't seem to be. They're caught in between right now. I just have no idea what their strategy is as an organization at this point.
While we're talking about contracts, I want to give a shout out to a kid I know, John Moreno, from Brockton, Mass. Just signed a 4-year, I think 6-year, $24 million contract with the Pittsburgh Penguins, an old teammate of my son's in hockey. Catholic Memorial boy. How's that?
Wow.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh's playing the Flyers tonight.
Yeah. How's that?
Well,
He had a 2-way contract last year. Brought up from Harvard. He left Harvard early to do. I mean, it's nice to see a kid you watched play Pee Wee Hockey Center do like that.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, he's buying if we're ever in the same. I just want to mention the greatest bar shutdown. So I guess we won't be doing the Dirty Water Friday shows anytime soon.
Did it go away? Did it go away permanently?
I don't know. It closed down. But yeah, look, in this day and age, if you close, I think it's pretty much time.
You take that stimulus money, you open up somewhere else.
Yeah.
Now, it's all about if you own the building or you're renting at this point in the restaurant business right now.
We go to the Bruins. The season starts tomorrow, boys. Did you guys?
Yeah, it's great.
Look, you guys are excited because you want to see hockey. That's pretty much right.
Just want to see hockey. There's a bunch of young, you've got. Look, I'm Bergeron is probably my favorite athlete in Boston right now, and it is in my top 5 or 10 of all time. So I just like watching Patrice Bergeron play hockey, and I want to see these young kids play.
I mean, we get to watch the best lad in hockey play.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? Pasternak was picked the 4th best player in the league right now.
Yeah, we're going to go over that because Timmy, you texted us. So they came out with the top 100 players in the NHL. Is that right?
Top 50, I think it was.
And tell everybody where the Bruins, the best Bruin player.
They had Marchand at 12, I believe. You might have to look through the text again. I don't remember exactly, but I think Pasternak came in at 4, I believe, right? Is that right? I think Marchand was 12.
I think he said 6. He was up around 6.
Yeah, 5 or 6 or something.
Crosby was 5.
Yeah. I mean, they had
Ovechkin was after him.
Ovechkin was 8, yeah. So, I mean.
The Bruins have a really good core still of great players.
And we added a kid for the third line who's a solid 20-goal scorer, too. His name escapes me right now, but that's added to the Coyle line.
Is that Craig Smith?
Yeah,
it's Craig Smith. Yeah,
he has no teeth. I love looking at pictures of the guy.
No teeth. Yeah.
But did the Bruins do enough?
No hockey player.
Did the Bruins do enough to compete against Tampa?
I think no. I think Tampa's just in a class of their own right.
Look, isn't it hard to project defensemen too, Timmy? Like, they could end up with 1 or 2 of these guys, these young guys stepping up, and they could have a pretty decent defense, right? I mean,
we've watched a lot of these kids come up and fill in from time to time over the last year and a half, 2 years. And every time any of these kids have showed up, they've done a half decent job out there.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Vakanainen's done well every time he's been up there.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have Grishlik, we have McAvoy, and we have some pretty good guys. Who's the guy who's been out for 3 years now? He's been gone so long.
Miller.
I mean, is he coming back? I don't know what the story is with him. He's back.
Yeah, he's back.
That's going to be a nice addition. I mean, he's probably the only guy that can drop the gloves on the team, unfortunately, right now.
The Bruins play fun hockey. I mean, this is not the team we grew up with. They've got skill, they've got speed. It's going to be up and down, and so they give up more goals. That just means they're going to have to score more. Like I hope Cassidy opens it up a bit, and we just get an entertaining game. We're not going to Timmy's point. We have no enforcers. That game is gone. Right?
I don't know if it's gone. St. Louis proved that different a couple of years ago. I just worry. We're not a tough team. We are not a physically tough team at all.
Tampa's not a tough team either.
Well, they get some large human beings on that team.
They got some big guys, but they got some Samsonov on there too.
You see any hockey teams ultimately folding up because of this, because they're very dependent on gate receipts, and if all of a sudden you have 2 years without any gate receipts.
Like I just said, Bettman came out and said they're going to lose. It would be cheaper not to play, he said. It would be.
That was what, right. I mean,
they're losing money.
Tampa wanted not to play. They were the leader. The guy that owns Tampa, and they're the world champions, wanted not to play this season because it would save money.
So in the next 3 years, do we see a team in one of the 4 major sports fold?
No, because I think what will happen, Scott, is that they'll just be they'll move. The NBA is going to get $2.5 billion per franchise for 2 additional expansion franchises, and I'm guessing that an NHL team moving from one city to another or an expansion team would go for $1 billion. I don't know what Seattle's paid, but I think they paid $1 billion.
Yeah, there's always a couple of Russian billionaires out there willing to buy a team. It's like pocket change to them.
Yeah, I just going to find it very interesting. Then at some point they're going to have some revenue in there, or maybe they don't care. Maybe these owners are so rich, all they care about is writing off the losses.
I think it's very few owners that can't afford to take a hit. I mean, most of these guys have lots of money.
So the Seattle franchise in the NHL paid $650 million expansion fee.
But that would be the ideal place for an NBA team if it was having trouble.
Yeah, Vegas. You put NBA teams in Vegas and Seattle, and you're going to get over $2 billion of franchise.
Yeah, just put that money in your pocket for each team.
And by the way, the players don't get any of that. Not a
I
cent.
know.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Not a cent.
What a deal.
So-
All right, boys. Well, that's our show for tonight. Want to thank corporate, of course, behind the scenes. Want to thank the fellas. Please check us out on our website at grandstanders.com and tune in again next Wednesday night at 6:30 for another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman. Have a great and happy night.